In this video, we will talk about Omilia's Pathfinder solution and how it helps to facilitate the engagement of human with AI solutions in a process that is faster and both built on existing customer knowledge. So Pathfinder is accessible through the main Omilia Cloud Platform interface, and it operates in kind of a deceptively simple manner. So if I were to click on a particular Pathfinder knowledge base, or even if I were to kind of create a new one, you'll notice that I can kind of give each Pathfinder project a name. This might be my insurance knowledge base, just for maybe lack of a better word. I can put this project, this knowledge base, into any one of my different OCP instances. I can have it pre-tuned and pre-aware to any of the standard Omilia domains, including a universal domain. And so for those folks who might be familiar with Omilia, domains are our method of kind of optimizing the AI for a particular vertical. And that optimization can be for transcription purposes and semantic understanding and entity and context tagging. And it's more than an intent model. There's a lot that can go into a domain, and yes, that does inform Pathfinder in the development of a knowledge base in that domain, and obviously ultimately a selection in a language that is supported. So and from creating that process, you can generate essentially an opportunity for Pathfinder to intake data from your customer. So I can take data in a lot of different ways. Most commonly, I'm loading in PDFs or I'm bringing in websites. And then I'm also able to take on API definition files. So the ability to, for example, have my Salesforce API file ready to go. And I also can digest live dialogues. In other words, a transcription of a customer and a human customer and an agent speaking to each other. Now we bring these all into one knowledge base because it gives us options to make the development of AI faster, keeping in mind that I can do all of this work in a single tool. I don't have to go from one tool to another. From one tool, I can use those PDF files, those dialogues, those API definitions to generate knowledge for your customers. I can also use that to suggest an intent model, right? So kind of at the simplest level, when I bring all this data, I'm creating a situation that says, what are my insurance details or something? I'm kind of asking a generic question. I haven't really checked it in general. So, but what we're doing here is building a standard set of knowledge using an Omilia runtime language model that goes very fast, that can be curated, that doesn't have to go into a large database, something that runs and executes quickly. Now that's a relatively straightforward process, but in addition, Pathfinder allows you to have the application suggest a potential flow. So based upon the fact that I have a policy inquiry, based upon the fact that there are known utterances, there's also a known process. And process can be inferred by observing agents and callers interacting with each other. Process can be inferred by the API definition itself. And through those techniques and tools, we can actually have the application be automatically built. And what's nice is when you're working with the Omilia platform, again, you don't have to exit OCP. You can go directly from the Pathfinder process where I have mapped out, if you would, the payment process, because I know what people will say when they want payment. I know the questions I need to ask to get payment answered. And then very easily, very quickly, can go through and have a payment application be spawned inside the process and be spawned inside the actual system itself, right? I can go through and have a payment process all mocked up that I didn't have to build by hand. And the way that mini apps work, being properly agentic, being given tasks that they go and solve autonomously on their own, it doesn't take much for that high level mock-up of a process to overlay on top of an orchestrator application and have that be, your starting place, to get an application pulled together. The goal of Pathfinder is to very quickly and very easily kind of stitch everything together in a single interface, and to do so with limited data. Now, the other thing that Pathfinder does, which is important to know, is it's useful in many contexts. In other words, I can use Pathfinder to guide Omilia's agent assist. It's the same knowledge base. I can use Pathfinder to reinforce agent learning and behavior, either by giving suggestions, or by looking for opportunities where agents have been saying and doing positive things. And then that could be something I coach an agent on, or that could be something where I allow the AI to start to sound like your best agent. Why is that? Because Pathfinder is, the knowledge base. So the goal here essentially is to put an Omilia solution at the beginning of every customer interaction. In other words, we put an Omilia solution in front. We say, how can I help you? I can go to a human agent as easily as I can go to a virtual agent, all in the same interface. And then Pathfinder becomes a way where I allow there to be a knowledge base trained for that customer, sounding like that customer's best agents, not just based on the raw knowledge, but based upon the human agents, because any of us who have worked in a contact center knows that there's a million things that agents learn by talking to each other versus 100 things they learn by reading process docs. They learn a lot more by referencing each other, right? And Pathfinder kind of recognizes, acknowledges, and brings that tooling to the front. So that over time, as the Pathfinder model matures, as we reinforce it with learning from the field, as we allow the automation to take more control, we allow there to be a natural blending of sometimes the AI leads, because the AI is greeting the customer anyway, sometimes the human leads, because some calls have to be answered by a human. Even when a human leads, Pathfinder can whisper suggestions and feedback in real time to the user that is, again, based upon knowledge and process and the general idea of how different agents solve that same problem. So Pathfinder is a method for us to create a reusable knowledge set and to use it in a lot of different ways. Anything from very tactical ways, like answering questions, to very strategic ways, like bootstrapping an application. It is a method, right, that allows us to kind of bring a lot of processes into a uniform whole, where I don't find myself going into and out of too many different interfaces, exporting from here, importing from there, kind of a one-stop tooling for everything.